Am I
Great.
coming through okay?
Yes, we can go ahead
Okay.
and start.
Okay. My name is Lindsay Webb. I'm coming from you today in Topeka, Kansas, from my in-home studio that we opened up with the whole quarantine and all that kind of stuff. And I typically do wear a mask, but this is my daughter who's my model, so I didn't think it was necessary to do that today. Um, Today we're going to be talking about the Miami Bombshell smoothing. With her, the most results you're going to see on her hair is it's really going to help tone because it does have the toning additive to it, the violet base, and then it's also going to help reduce her frizz. She doesn't have a lot of natural curl, but it does tend to be a little bit frizzy with the humidity. Typically, when you're starting the Bombshell treatment, you will do the pH, shampooing, and all that. It's usually, when I do the pH before any smoothing, it's 2 to 3 shampoos for 2 minutes each to really help cleanse the hair. But we did go ahead and do her color this morning. She is typically about a natural level 7, and we did an all over lightener. So we did the lightening cream on the roots, and then from about mid down, we use the Miami Bombshell clay lightener, which I'll kind of touch on that here in a little bit also. So we'll go ahead and get started here. What we're using today is the Miami Bombshell. Oh, can we see there? This is the smoothing right there. And typically,
And can you hear me?
yes, can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, I can hear you now. Well, you were freezing. If we could
Oh,
start it over again
I'm
from the start.
sorry.
That's okay.
No, she wasn't freezing.
You can hear me?
Well, we can hear you better now. Okay.
Okay, sorry about that. I'm not sure what we missed out on. Oh,
Okay,
someone's alarm there.
we can go ahead and start again from the start. Here we go.
Okay,
Okay.
start from the beginning. Okay.
Yes.
Well, some of you may heard I'm Lindsay Webb. I'm going to be doing the Miami Bombshell smoothing today. This is my daughter, so not masking or anything because we don't need to. We live together, but we went ahead. Typically, with this, as with any smoothing system, you're going to want to do the pH shampoo. I do it 2 to 3 times for 2 minutes each shampoo to really help clarify and cleanse the hair. This is the pH right here. That's typically what I would do with her. We went ahead because we did her color today. So I used the lightening cream with 20 volume on her roots, and then the Miami Bombshell clay lightener from mids to ends, and then we did do a toner. So basically with this, it's going to help reduce her frizz. She doesn't have a lot of curl, so we're really just going for more frizz reduction and humidity control. But it's also going to help give it a nice tone because it has the violet base to it, so it's going to help knock out even more of the warm tones that might be existing and help with the longevity of the color that way. So I'm going to go ahead and start. Like I said, she has, since we did the color, her hair is already prepped and ready to go. And I can post some pictures of her before color also if you guys want to see that. And I do, right now her hair is pretty wet because we just finished her color, and I do separate into the 4 quadrants. The Miami Bombshell smoothing, it can give pretty good up to 80% curl reduction, but 100% frizz reduction. It's very similar to the Best, which is also a glycolic-based smoothing. And we're going to have a 0 turnaround time with this, so she doesn't have to worry about getting it wet or re-flat ironing or not wearing ponytails, anything like that for, the typical 48 hours. And with this, I usually will start about 30 grams is what I start the application with. Could be more or less depending on just how much it saturates and her hair kind of soaks it up. And as you know, all of our smoothing products, the number one ingredient in these that makes them so much different than other smoothing or taming systems is the Juvexin. It is the anti-aging protein blend that all of our products do contain. And it really helps smooth the hair, lock in the moisture, and again, help with that humidity protection and just generalized smoothing of the hair. And this system, I'll say, usually, you know, it depends 2 to 3, 4, 5 months. This one, the more you do it, the longer you're going to have of your results. So we'll go ahead and get started here. And I am using for application it's like the dual one, so you can apply and comb through. And like I said, usually I start with about 30 grams. I know you can't see me mixing this in here, and feel free as I go, if anybody has any questions, feel free to interject. All right, just working on getting it in the bowl here. And for your use in the salon, there are a couple different sizes of the Bombshell smoothing that you can get. This is the larger one, it's 24 ounces. And then there is one that's a little bit smaller. This is the shampoo, but it's about the same size as this here. So if it's something you want to try out, sometimes going with the smaller is, you know, a little bit easier as far as cost and everything goes. This product is very, very gentle. I do always wear gloves because I don't really want to have violet hands when all's said and done. But I'm going to hop over in front of the camera here. Sorry. And we're going to start. I do always start the application in the back, just for sake of kind of sectioning and keeping the hair out of the way. So we'll drop this down. As you can see, we were able to get her fairly light. She's a natural level 6. But all this is going to do, we kind of wanted to go for like a lighter beigey blonde. And what this is going to do is really help intensify and neutralize any of the gold tones that might still be existing in there. The Miami Bombshell smoothing can be used as a standalone. I almost typically always do it directly after a color, just to really help, you know, neutralize any warmth in the hair. So we are going to start. I typically do 1/4 to 1/2 inch sections, and I start at the bottom. Let me know if you can't see or if I need to have it moved around a little. And then also, I never go directly to the scalp. I usually start about 1/4 to 1/2 inch away from the scalp. The hair is very damp, so as it processes, it will work its way up to the scalp. So you don't really need to worry about those really curly haired clients, about the roots not smoothing, because it will kind of creep up its way up during the processing. So I apply fairly liberally. You definitely want to be able to see the product on the hair. And then I do work it in each section, making sure that you're really pushing it into the cuticle of the hair. And again, about 1/4 to 1/2 inch sections. Her underneath here is not super thick. So I can get away with closer to 1/2 inch parting on hers. But if you have the clients that do have really, really dense hair, I definitely say to start with, you know, more of a 1/4 inch sectioning. And I do apply and kind of comb it through. And then just, again, make sure you're really working it into the cuticle of the hair. And really, once you get going, this is a pretty quick process. And I'll show you here when I have a little bit more of this section saturated, kind of how you can tell you have enough product. It's a little bit different than some of the other smoothing systems where less is best. This one, you definitely want to make sure it's saturated and fully coating the hair. And if you're not super familiar with the Bombshell line, there's a lot of different products that GK's come out within the line. We have our deep conditioning masks, which we'll touch on here in a little bit. Obviously, we have the violet shampoo, or the silver shampoo, I'm sorry, which is more of a violet base versus kind of that green, like blue green. It definitely has the violet undertone, which is great for toning out any of the unwanted gold in the hair. Now I'll show you here a good way to make sure that you're getting it saturated is what I call the twist test. Take your section. You can take a whole big section if you want and twist it. And if you can, try back a little bit, and if you can actually see the product kind of coming out when you do that, that's a good way to know that you're getting the hair saturated enough. But yes, on her, like I mentioned earlier, we did use the lightening cream at the base. That's the one of our lighteners that is approved for on the scalp application. We did it with 20 volume. It's not going to damage the scalp. It's not going to over process, and it's super gentle. But then for, you know, about the mids down to the ends, because our ends were already pretty blonde, I used the Bombshell clay lightener with 40 volume on that. And again, all of those products, the lightener, the developer, everything does also contain the Juvexin. So it's going to be nice and gentle on the hair and actually reconstructing. She has no damage from the lightening that we did previously this morning. And again, I just continue to move up each section, making sure it's saturated, working it into the hair. Not sure who all's come on since we started, but again, this is gonna really just help with frizz reduction on her. And it's also gonna be a toning for her blonde to help out, knock out, you know, any of the warm golden tones in the hair, that's what the entire line itself is designed to do, is to help maintain those blondes in a healthy way so you have little to no damage. Since this application does take a little bit of time, does anybody want to jump on and tell me where they're joining us from? If you've been using GK, if you have any questions on the Bombshell line in general before we touch on some of the other products, so I know, you know, what kind of information you might need pertaining to the line. Anybody? Quiet group today. Oh, hello. I think someone might be coming on there.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, I'm calling from Chandler, Arizona.
Oh, hello.
I'm very new to this product. You are
Okay.
my first class that I've participated in. So I may or may not have a lot of questions, but
That's
the purple application that you're doing right now, is this the same application you're going to use regardless of the color of hair?
Yes, with the Bombshell, it's the same application. as you would use with anybody. It's specifically designed for blondes, yes, to cut out the, the golden undertones, but I've also used it on brunettes or, like level 6, 7s. Just if you have those people that are constantly, when you do their color, they pull super warm or they tend to fade to the warmer side. I've done this on a lot of darker haired clients, and it really does help neutralize that. And you get the, the smoothing benefit also with that.
Yeah. So I have a client who's wanting to do this. She has short hair, but she's more concerned about cutting down on like drying time. And then if she does let it naturally air dry, for it to be a little bit more tame.
Yes.
Okay.
So definitely with all of our smoothing systems that we do and with the Miami Bombshell, it can cut your blow dry time up to 50%, but it also does help with that, the curl and primarily frizz reduction that comes along with the smoothing. But it's also going to add kind of that, the toning agent to it, which makes this a little bit different than like the best. It has that violet base to it. And I don't know if you can see like the color. Let's see, there we go. So it's not super intense, but as it does sit and process, it does definitely help neutralize.
How long is the processing time?
The processing, it'll be 30 minutes under heat. I actually I don't have a dryer. You can use a dryer, but we will bag her when this is all applied to really help, keep the moisture in. And then it is processed 30 minutes under heat.
Okay.
You can use a dryer. I actually have like a halo processor that I will use, but you can use either. Usually I'll set it to about a medium heat because I don't like it. I don't want them to feel like they're baked or anything. But you definitely want to warm it up so that that cuticle opens. And above anything with this smoothing, as with all of them, it's just super hydrating and moisturizing, and they're going to get the benefits of the frizz and curl reduction with it.
Okay.
Yes, I know Arizona. I was there, I think, back in March for some training, and it's definitely dry down there versus here in Kansas. It's super humid. So you get all the different, all the different struggles with the hair. And I know curly hair girls tend to have a lot of issues when it's super dry or super humid. So this really just can help them maintain their curl. Like you said, she sometimes wants to be able to let it dry on its own. This will definitely just help with it not being so frizzy when it dries and a more, kind of maintain curl pattern.
So, and you said that this is okay to do right after like a bleach highlight, for example.
Yes, for sure. Typically when I'm doing this, it's going to be directly after a color service. But it can be done as a standalone treatment also. It does not have to be done after a color service.
Okay. So if washing out the bleach, you want to wash out with the pH shampoo?
Yes. So I did the lightener on her, and then I just shampooed after the lightener with our silver shampoo, and then went directly in and toned her. And then after I toned her, I shampooed again with the silver shampoo, because it is moisturizing, but it's not, it doesn't have too much moisture. And I did not do the pH after that because I had done the toner, so I didn't want to lift that tone out completely. But the hair is pretty much prepped. I did not use a conditioner. The cuticle's already open, basically from the lightening, and there's obviously not going to be any residual, styling product or anything on there at all. But if you're just doing it as a standalone, I do always use the pH first. Depending on, how they come in with their hair, and if they have a lot of buildup from, water, hard water, minerals, that pH is really going to help prep the hair and make sure there's not like anything on the hair that's going to prevent the smoothing from, penetrating the hair. So I will do, if I'm doing just a standalone, it's 2 to 3 shampoos with the pH for 2 minutes each shampoo. So that prep step is really what's important with the smoothing. It's going to give that hair, you know, the blank canvas. And even, you know, I've done these a million times, but I still go in and make sure that it's getting saturated enough. And like I said, I started with about 30 grams with the assumption that I'd have to get more. I don't like to overuse the product. It's not cheap. No one likes to. So I always start out with less and you can always get more. But 30 grams on her hair has done pretty much the back section. I'll probably only get maybe another 20 grams for the front section. So we'd be looking at about 50 grams total. And if you use ounces, you can do the conversion on that. I use grams on everything within the GK line because it's a lot more precise and you have less waste. So. And usually on this kiddo of mine, we just do like a lighter blonde balayage, but she's been wanting to be more overall blonde for a while. So I thought perfect time for the smoothing class.
Can you talk about the care after the procedure?
The aftercare, is that what you
Yeah.
said? I'm sorry. Yeah, basically one of the nice things with like the Bombshell and the Best, which are both glycolic based smoothing treatments, is, you know, you definitely want to make sure that they're using, you know, I of course always recommend the GK shampoo conditioner because it does help make sure that you're, you know, you're ensuring the treatment basically by using the shampoo and conditioner. And you can either use, you know, any of them that we carry, the moisturizing, balancing. My personal favorite that I pretty much always give like a small sample or like a travel size to clients with the smoothing treatment is either the moisturizing or the UV. And the UV is really great because it helps, you know, give that just added protection from the sun and environment. So for sure, always, you know, the GK shampoo and conditioner, if, you know, that's not in the budget for them, you know, obviously for sure a sulfate-free, paraben-free type product. Otherwise you can get, you know, lifting of the smoothing. And if they're, you know, going to go through all this trouble, you want them using the right stuff. But unlike other smoothing treatments, like I said earlier, I don't know if you were on, there is what I kind of consider the zero turnaround. Like they don't have to worry about, you know, getting their hair wet or not going to the gym for 2 days. With this smoothing, it's just kind of, you know, they get the application, you're going to blow dry, flat iron, all of that, which we'll get to in a bit. And then they're really free to go. They don't have to worry about waiting that 48 hours. They don't have to worry about not wearing a ponytail or anything to that effect. So
if she wanted to wash the next day, she's okay.
Yep, it's totally fine too. You know, depending on the client, most of my clients after they get it, you know, a nice blowout and flat iron, they're going to wait a few days, but you don't have to.
Okay.
Also, Lindsay, we can wash the hair same day, right?
Yes. Yep. You can. basically you'll see as we go through, and she'll send it under the dryer and she'll process. With this smoothing treatment, the product is not left in the hair. We actually do shampoo it out when we're done. And like I said, it is a glycolic base. So if you've ever had, you know, like a glycolic peel or anything like that, it's going in and it's closing down that cuticle of the hair, but it's not left in the hair. It's doing all of its work while it's sitting, and then we'll actually shampoo it out and deep condition. So it would be as if they came into the salon and just got a shampoo and blowout. There's no product that's left in the hair. It actually is doing its processing while it's sitting here, and then it's done. Unlike, you know, we have other systems that they do have to sit in for that 48 hours. But with this one, it does not.
So this product does die out. It oxidizes once it's in the bowl. How long can it sit out before you need to toss it?
I would not like let it sit out. That's why I use like just what I need, because you cannot add it back into the bottle. So you definitely want to like get it on the head and just use, you know, if you have any residual left over, you would want to toss it. It's not something you can continue to use. Oops, sorry, try not to cut the screen off there.
Miss Lindsay, this
Yes.
is Nita from Atlanta. Can I use for African American hair the same procedure and same result outcome?
100%, yes. All of our products are geared basically multiracial, multi-ethnic hair. They're great for all hair types. African American, white. My daughter here, she's actually a quarter Hispanic. That's why sometimes her hair is not always the easiest to lighten. So we really had to work with hers, but she definitely has a finer texture to her hair, but it can be used on any ethnicity and get the same type of results. If you are using it like on African American hair, you may not get as much reduction of the curl pattern, but it definitely is going to help with the frizz that's associated with that. I do have several multiracial clients. I have a few that are mixed, and they do have a pretty heavy curl pattern. And really, whenever we do the smoothing on them, either the Bombshell or the Best, it really, it does not eliminate their curl completely, but it does kind of help it fall into like a nice, kind of more natural, like fall to the curl. Most of them, it kind of ends up being kind of like a softer spirally curl versus, you know, the tight up against the head.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Lindsay, I have a question for you from one of the attendees. The question is that she haven't tried Miami Bombshell before, so she would like to know the difference between Miami Bombshell and the Best. If you can explain.
Bombshell and the Best are very, very similar. The Best is also going to be glycolic based. The biggest difference between the two, Miami Bombshell just has a standardized processing time of 30 minutes. It can be left on longer, but it doesn't really need to be. The Best is a little more customizable as far as smoothing goes. You can get everything from just basic soft frizz reduction to up to the 80% curl reduction, depending on your processing time, which there is a guide that goes along with that. And then really the biggest difference between the two is that the Bombshell smoothing does have that violet additive to it. So it's going to help knock out any of the, you know, the warm kind of golden tones and create just a more neutral palette as far as the hair color goes. And although it does say for blondes, again, it can be used really on any color. Like I said earlier, I've used it on brunettes just to help, you know, neutralize it, warmth on some of those clients that do have the little more residual warmth, especially when the color fades. It's kind of a great refresher for the hair. And I personally think that the Bombshell and the Best, they have a really nice like scent to them. It doesn't have like a super over chemically smell or anything like that. So especially if you have customers who are a little more sensitive as far as smells and things, both of these, you know, smoothing systems, the Best and the Bombshell, are really great because it is very gentle on the hair and it doesn't put out like a really strong, you know, smell or anything like that during processing. This one here, she's a little bit sensitive just in general. Sensitive head, sensitive smell. Do you think it smells good? Yeah. Yeah. She was told not to talk too much, so she's not interjecting. It can be the hardest like hour and a half, 2 hours of her life, I'm pretty sure.
I have another question.
Yes.
If you were to do a color application, let's say, for example, low lights throughout the whole head, would that compromise the product that's already in her hair from the smoothing treatment?
Not, you mean like if you were gonna color after a smoothing?
Yes.
Yes and no. I mean, obviously it can be done. We always say after any smoothing, with the Best or the Bombshell, to wait at least 14 days. That's kind of why GK has made, you know, certain smoothing products and lines to be a little more customizable one way or the other. The glycolic based smoothing systems will sometimes have a little bit of, if you do it directly after like actual color, not lightener, it can lift maybe about half a level, but that's why we just kind of have the general rule. Like I don't apply color to the hair after a smoothing system. We say wait at least 14 days. That gives the color time to kind of set in and make sure that you're not going to get any, you know, lifting if it's the other way. So we typically say 14 days before or after with the smoothing treatments.
And for someone who washes their hair, let's say 3 times a week, what's the expectancy of the lifetime of the smoothing?
Typically we kind of say general rule is like the general rule is 3 to 5 months. The more often they do the smoothing, the one thing with Juvexen is it's cumulative. So the more times you do it, the more it's going to stay and you're going to have more longevity. So maybe their first treatment may only last about 3 months. And that's based on someone who's like an every day, every other day shampooer. Obviously, if they only shampoo, you know, 2 to 3 times a week, they're going to have a little more longevity of the service. But kind of the general rule is 3 to 5 months. But again, the more often they do it, the longer the results are going to last. And that's mostly because although the, you know, the Juvexen and the proteins and oils, they do wash out of the hair over time, there's still always some there. So the more treatments you do, you know, the longer the service will last for them. And really the application's, you know, fairly quick. I'm really close to being done with this 4th quadrant. So typically we're gonna, I have been talking a little bit, so that slows me down, but usually it takes me about 25 to 30 minutes to do a full application of the Miami Bombshell. And she has, medium length hair that is, I don't know if we can see her length. Let's see. Let me pull that over a little bit. Sorry. Swinging there. She does have, probably about medium length, and her hair is not crazy thick, but it is a little bit on the thicker side, but it's very, very fine. So I do, try and make sure that I really get in there with the application. Like I said, I did about 20 grams for that front section, but I'm just not running out. So I'm going to do about 5 more. Again, I don't like to waste. You can always get more product. Flinging stuff around there. And obviously it sat in the back for, a little bit longer, but I can already see it neutralizing the warm tones a little bit more. On her color, we did pull her out to about a level, between level 9, 10. And like I said, I did tone it. I didn't do an overtone on her with anything super ashy. We kept her more towards that beigey blonde. I wanted a little bit of warmth still in the hair, just so you really could see the results of the smoothing and how strong it really is as far as, neutralizing that warmth.
I noticed in your application with your left hand, you're doing upward and downward strokes. Is that important?
Yes.
Okay.
That is when with the application, I work it into the hair, I put it on, I work it in, and then I always kind of work it back up that way to make sure it's kind of really getting worked into the cuticle of the hair. That way it's not just sitting on the hair, it's actually working up into the cuticle itself. That just really helps to make sure it's penetrating and getting all of that in there, because the point of it is to go into the cuticle of the hair and kind of help smooth it from the inside out, basically. And that's what makes the Juvexen a little bit different also, is because it can penetrate under the cuticle. And so it's not just something that's coating the hair and sealing it down. It's actually kind of going in there and reconstructing the bonds of the cuticle itself so that it does lay smoother and filling in there.
How much would you charge for the application?
That's really kind of hard for me to say. I kind of would just base it on your average of the area. Where I lived, Topeka, Kansas, we're Midwest. It does not necessarily typically warrant what you would be able to charge in Arizona and California, that kind of thing. My applications start at $150. And then it goes up from there. So it's $150 for the first basically hour and a half of the treatment. And then I go up per $50 for every 30 minutes after that. So, someone, and in my mind, that kind of correlates to how thick their hair is, application time. And I do include processing time. That's from beginning the service to end of the service. Because the longer it takes to blow out, you've obviously probably used more product. But again, it's, just kind of an average based on, I don't know if you're already doing smoothing treatments in your area or at your salon currently, but I would just kind of base it on what, you're currently charging for smoothing. A tiny bit more. Because I've done trainings in California where their base price for smoothing in certain salons in the Hollywood area is going to be, $400 for base price. It just kind of depends on your market and where you're at that way. I don't know if that was helpful or very vague. I'm not sure.
No, it just gives me just something to think about as far as like how you go about with your starting and then.
Yeah, all my smoothing starts at 150. If she had really short hair, obviously it might only be 150, but you're also probably only going to use, maybe maximum 25 to 30 grams of, product. So your cost is not as high. But all said and done on her hair, we're looking at about, I did 30 grams in the back, and I started with 20 for the front sections, but I have had to get a little bit more. So we're going to be looking at about 30 grams also for her application on her front section. We're going to go in for her last section here. And typically, like I said in the beginning, I always start at the back for most people, just because she doesn't have a ton of curls. She's more like that fine frizzy kind of texture. She does have a little bit of curl to her hair, but not a lot. But if you're really wanting to work on the curl reduction, start in the area where the hair's the curliest, which she has the most texture throughout the back. So that's why I started there. Her front really is pretty straight naturally. She just does have a little bit of frizz, like I said, from her little bit of natural wave that she does have. And before I bag her, I will go through, like I showed earlier, and I'll do the twist kind of throughout different sections and make sure that when you do that, the product that you can see it kind of come up from the hair. That means that you do have enough product on there from the application. And I'm going to hop over here real quick. I am going to kind of just sweep hers back here. Oops. Get a little lined up, and then I am going to put a bag on her. Make sure everything is in there, tucked in good. That is her least favorite part right there. Not a fan of the bag here. And then I'm going to pull her over this way. Jenna, you want to come with me? I'll turn it here. And I do have, oh, it's swinging, sorry. It's going to make people nauseous there. I do have, like I said, the halo processor. You can use a dryer. As long as you have it bagged, it's going to keep all the moisture in there. And I'm going to set it to about medium heat. I don't want to like overcook it or anything, but I definitely want it to get, you know, nice and warm on her. And we're gonna set the timer for about 30 minutes. Sorry, my guy here's a little noisy at first. I'm gonna set it for 30 minutes and then I'll come over here back with you guys while she processes, and I will talk to you about some of the other products within the Bombshell line. Make sure we're sitting on there. Thank you. All right. Make it swing again here. And I'm gonna grab some of the other stuff and we'll discuss this a little bit, and feel free to jump in with any questions as I go through and talk about it if you have any. Okie dokie. So, like I said, the basis of the Bombshell line is the Miami Bombshell, the smoothing system. But then we also have a lot of other products. They can be used standalone or directly. There we go.
Lindsay, we have a quick question from
Yes.
Leslie.
Uh-huh.
Do you apply the same way as Bombshell?
The best application is done basically the same way, yes. The difference is kind of in the end as far as like with the Bombshell, you'll see that we'll actually use the silver shampoo. With the best, you'd use the moisturizing shampoo. With the Bombshell, you have the option of using just the regular mask or the Ultra Blonde Bombshell mask after, which we'll use the Ultra Blonde Bombshell because we're, you know, focusing on the Bombshell line today. But yes, basically the application for the best and the Bombshell smoothing is pretty much the same. It's just in the processing time, which when you order, if you get the best smoothing system, your rep should be able to give you basically it's an informational sheet. It kind of gives you a little rundown of the application process. So if you've taken the class and you just kind of need a refresher, that'll be on there, which GK does a really, really good job with all of like our pamphlets and our information on the products and the processes and how you use them and why. And with that, there will be like a processing kind of formula. So you can decide, you know, if you just want frizz reduction, curl reduction, and it's kind of based on their beginning hair texture, whether it's curl or just frizz, and how to get the result you want, which is really nice. And I kind of consider it like a chart for dummies. I still look at it because sometimes I can't remember, you know, 20 different processing times. So I still reference that chart all the time when I'm doing the best. So I'm going to start out here explaining some of the products within the Bombshell line. Well, not some of them, all of them. Like I mentioned earlier, I used our lightening cream on her roots because it is the one lightening product that we have that is specifically okay to use on the roots. I personally never use a powder-based formula on the roots. It can be a little too caustic for the scalp. And our lightening cream is just so gentle that it's the perfect product for that application. But then from about 2 to 3 inches down from her roots, let me see if I can find my phone and pull up a before picture. I was going to post them so you guys can see that. But this here was basically her starting color. So she did have pretty light blonde ends already. And we had balayaged her, I think maybe 3-4 months ago. So that's kind of her grow out that she had there. As you can tell, just her natural color, she does pull really, really warm. I guess that's one where it's parted out. So you can really see her base color in that one. And she is about a level 6. So we were able to get pretty good lightening results. So then we used the lightening cream on her roots, but then I went in, obviously I have a bag that's already open, but I thought I'd just show you the nice fresh bag here. This is the Miami Beach Bombshell Clay Lightener. So this is the one that you're going to use for those balayage services. It is open air processing, so you're not going to have to worry about it drying out or anything like that. This one here, it was reformulated a couple years ago, so it gets an even higher lift now. I believe it's up to 7 levels of lift open air processing. And you can use, you know, everything from 8, 10, 20, 30 volume, 40 volume even. I did use 40 volume on her from about 3 inches down. And it got a really, really nice lift out of it. It does have that blue violet base to it, so it's going to help neutralize a lot of the warmth within the lifting process also. And because it is the clay lightener, like I said, you can use it for open air processing. One other nice thing with this, does give a really, really high level of lift, which I love. All of our lighteners are interchangeable though. You can actually mix them together, which is a little trick that's kind of nice. Like I said, you can get up to 7 levels of lift with this, but if you have those clients that are a little bit darker, you can add a little bit of our lightening powder to your formula, and that'll even boost it even more from there. So any questions on this before I move on to the next one? Anybody? No? All right, so that's our Bombshell lightener. I will move on and just kind of touch on the Silver Bombshell shampoo. This is probably one of my favorite products within the line. I retail a ton of this to people. I use it on my back bar. This works amazing. It's super duper pigmented, probably one of the most pigmented, you know, violet base shampoos that I've ever used from any line. That's kind of what made me fall in love with it. Like I said, it's the Silver Bombshell. I, a lot of times, will use this on those clients that, you know, their hair just lifts to an amazing, beautiful blonde on its own. They don't really need a toner. But I will almost always with blondes shampoo with the Silver Bombshell before, you know, like conditioning and styling and all that. And it really does help just knock out any of the residual warmth. Sometimes, again, if you have those clients that don't really need a toner, but you just want to give them a little bit of that silvery ashy base, I'll highlight and then I'll shampoo with this and bag them and put them under heat for 10-15 minutes. And it is a really nice, gentle way to do a toner and just kind of knock out that warmth where you don't really want it to be darker like you might get from an actual toner, but it just kind of adds that silvery color into the hair. Any questions about this before we move on? No? All right. And as far as, you know, kind of basic things that you would use style wise, like I said, this is something that I do retail to customers. I almost never will tell them to shampoo with this every single time. It's not drying. It's actually still nice and hydrating, just like our moisturizing or UV. But like some silver shampoos can be really drying on the hair and cause a little bit of breakage. This one's great because it doesn't do that. But it is so pigmented that I often tell people only to use this maybe every 3rd shampoo if they're really just trying to knock out like warmth and those brassy tones with the hair. And then this here is one of our, it's within the Bombshell line, but it's a daily treatment that they would use at home. It's not a treatment per se. I guess I shouldn't have said that. It's actually the Bombshell leave-in cream. I don't know if anybody of you have used our actual just leave-in cream. It's amazing. It's the same exact thing, except they've actually put a violet pigment into it. So during styling, like that's what it looks like. It does not turn the hair purple, gray, blue, anything like that. But it is a really nice kind of violet-based leave-in cream. So as you know, they're styling, it's something that you can put into the hair as an additive that is just like the leave-in cream, except it's going to have a little bit of that silver tone to it to help keep those like residual brassiness out of the hair as they wear it. Love it. I have a hard time keeping this on my shelf. If I could show you my retail shelf, you'd know that I don't have any over there because I just sold out of what I got last week. So next we're going to move on and I'm going to talk about all of our Bombshell masks. I don't know if anybody has used these previously or knows anything about them.
That's my favorite one. Favorite
Yes,
one.
love, love, love these. So these basically are the same as this, which is, trying to find the camera angle here. This is our deep conditioner mask. It's kind of, the way I explain it to my clients, it's kind of like the little sister of the smoothing treatments. You can do the deep conditioning treatment, and sometimes we'll add a couple pumps of the serum, put them under heat, let them process, and really they can get the feeling of what their hair is going to feel like with a smoothing treatment for about 2 weeks, just depending on how often they shampoo. Super hydrating. Again, it has the Juvexin in it, so it's really going to help reconstruct the hair. But that's a great kind of add-on service if you have those people who are kind of on the line about wanting to do smoothing. Do this on them and be like, these obviously won't have as much curl reduction, but it definitely will give that frizz reduction and be like, this is how your hair could feel with a smoothing treatment. So you would just treat this like your normal like deep conditioner, but they kind of would get the vibe of what it would feel like. So GK's also come out with the Bombshell masks. These are amazing. First we have, I'll discuss, this is the Ultra Blonde. Specifically for those blondes, it is kind of the same pigmented level as what like the silver shampoo is. But again, you work it on the hair like a mask. I will bag them, put them under heat for about 20 to 30 minutes, depending on how porous their hair is. But it really, really does give those really nice, pretty, like silver undertones and knock out the warmth. But again, it's very similar to this, that if you have someone who's considering doing, say, maybe the Miami Bombshell smoothing, you could do the Ultra Blonde mask, and that would kind of help them see what the results could be from the smoothing as far as like reducing the brassiness in their hair, the gold tones, any warmth. But then it also gives that kind of smoothing property to it also. Go ahead. This way. Sorry, my kiddo needs to take a break real fast. She will be quick. That's all right. And then I will move on to this one here. Turn that a little bit, sorry. This one is the lavender. So currently we have 3 tones within the mask. We have the Ultra Blonde, like I said earlier. This one here is the lavender, and this is so, so pretty. If you put it on dark hair, it kind of gives it just a little bit of a lavender shine. It's one of those things that like you don't really see it, especially if they're like a level 5, 5, 6 or darker. They're not going to really see the lavender unless it kind of the light hits it. But it's beautiful on blondes. It's temporary. All of the masks, the color isn't gone in 10 shampoos, but it typically will start to fade at about shampoo number 10. So if you have those people that only shampoo every 3 days, the color is pretty strong, typically for about a month or so, and then it'll start to fade out gently from there. The lavender is really, really pretty in blondes. Again, if you have those people that just kind of want to do a temporary type color, just to try it out and see what it is. This is not a true like purple like you see here. It's definitely a little bit, I don't want to say pinky, but has a little bit of like a magenta lavender tone to it. It's not like a true purple, but it's beautiful on those blondes. It makes a really, really pretty lavender shade. And then we also have the red, which it is red. It is beautiful, but it is red. I will show you that there. And I'll kind of talk about it again. These are super pigmented. And all of these are direct dye base. They're not it's not oxidative color. So when you do apply it, sorry, I dropped it and hit the white cabinet there. So when you do apply it, it is going to just directly deposit that tone to the hair, but it will fade out over time. Again, usually about shampoo 8 to 10, it'll start to fade. But this red is super duper pigmented. I can pull up, let's see here. I can pull up, I've done a lot of this, what I use it for is, you know, the pinks are really popular, especially like the younger girls that maybe have highlights and they want pink hair, but it's not like, they don't want to go permanent. It's a great additive for that. So it kind of gives them that feel without being, you know, permanent where they're going to have to do a lift to get it out. So this is one picture. The lighting was pretty good on it. This is actually my hair from a couple of years ago, right after this was released. I was about a level 9, 10 when we applied it. And that's, you know, it came out pretty darn vibrant. And my hair felt amazing. Kind of felt like I had a smoothing treatment for a few days. And it basically, when it started to fade, it did fade out. This, sorry, trying to get it bigger here. This is about what it looked like after probably about after a month or so. That's pretty close to what it looked like. So it does fade, sometimes not completely, but you can do some like pH and lightening to get it out completely if they're wanting that. So do we have any question about the masks? No? And I kind of touched on it a little bit earlier with the deep conditioner mask. So one fun thing about all of the Bombshell masks is they can be mixed with the deep conditioner if you want it to be not quite as intense, like I said, with the pink that's really popular right now. Because the red is very, very pigmented. So I will mix a little bit of that with the mask to get kind of that pinky tone. The same with the lavender. When you use the lavender with this though, it does need to go on probably level 8 or lighter in order for it to really show up if you're wanting just a real light lavender. So that's pretty much it within the Bombshell line itself as far as the products that we carry. Sorry. There under the heat if you can. All right, so, you know, she has about 12 minutes left to process. Does anybody have any questions about anything else right now? This is kind of the boring time, I know, for sitting here. Anybody have any questions on anything within the GK line in general?
Lindsay, if you can talk about our styling range, what do we offer, and
Just the general styling range? Yeah, for sure. So I pretty much have everything back here. I'll just kind of pull a few things down here and kind of start with those. It would be kind of the norm. So I did talk about the Bombshell leave-in cream. This here, if you're not familiar with it, is the, I'm flinging stuff around. This is the regular leave-in cream. It is amazing. It's super duper hydrating. Doesn't take a lot, but it doesn't weigh the hair down either, which is really, really nice. Even for those finer hair clients, you're really going to see a lot of results from, you know, just the smoothing, blow dry. It's going to help keep the hair moisturized. And I, a lot of times do mix these two together. This is our serum. If no one's ever used it, it's pretty amazing. It's silicone free. As with most of our products, there's natural oils that really help hydrate and moisturize the hair without it feeling weighted down, without it feeling like super oily or anything like that. And when you mix these two together, it's what we call the sweet mix. It's kind of a coin phrase. You're going to get the most results of hydration and smoothing just from products in general when you use these two here together. Besides those, one of my favorite products within the line, I pretty much use it on anybody that I'm going to blow dry, curl, flat iron. This here is called our Thermal Styler. I don't know if anybody's ever used it before. Super God, I lost my train of thought all of a sudden. Super concentrated. That's what I was going with. It doesn't take a lot, even on really thick hair. Like I have thick, fairly long hair. I'm not going to use more than about a nickel size of this. Put it in the hair really, really wet. Same with these. This is what I tend to use first on every client that I'm going to blow dry, heat process. We kind of consider it to be like a primer that you'd use for your face before makeup or anything. This is a primer for the hair. So it's going to help cut your blow dry time, sometimes up to about 20%. And then it's also going to add a lot of smoothness and shine to the hair, but also just really help smooth it down and add that protection for the humidity after the hair is styled. So this is probably my go-to for every client that I have. And then additionally, the leave-in cream and serum. You know, a lot of clients aren't necessarily going to buy the whole line right up front, but they're like, what products do you recommend? I always say these three. These are my top 3 recommended products for them to use at home, really to help maintain their style that they get within the salon. And also it helps with color fadage because it fills the cuticle. These here fills the cuticle, keeps that hydration and moisture from the inside out. Again, these all have the Juvexin, the anti-aging protein blend, so that it helps rehydrate and protect the hair from home. And this one here, this is the cashmere. This is another leave-in. I will tell you, you don't ever want to mix this with anything but the serum. But this on its own, amazing to die for. Love this product. It's great on those naturally curly haired clients that want to leave their hair curly. It really helps with frizz reduction. Again, super duper concentrated. It's basically a lighter weight mix of the leave-in cream and the serum together. So it adds that hydration and moisture and smoothness to the hair. Again, you put it in wet. If you have those really curly haired clients that are leaving their hair curly, but they just want to really kind of help smooth the ends, and the serum doesn't feel like it's enough for them, I do sometimes tell my clients that they can use just a squirt or 2. Again, this, I just pulled a new bottle out here. It's not working. But just like a squirt or 2 of this, and they can actually just kind of work it through their ends with their hair being dry, and that'll kind of help smooth that cuticle down, add a little bit of shine to the hair also. These 3 products here are going to be what I'm going to use for those clients who do need a little bit of hold whenever it comes to styling. The Volumize Her, if you've never used it, it's pretty awesome. It's our one product that's really geared towards volumizing. This here, super duper lightweight. One thing, most of my clients that need that volume, they're going to be that really fine flyaway hair. And unlike a lot of volumizers that I've used in the past, this one doesn't weigh the hair down at all. Like a lot of times you can use a volumizer. It's really great in the beginning of the day, but kind of throughout the day, it feels a little producty and actually causes more weight to the hair. This here is a weightless finish. You spray it in with the hair or spray it into the roots. Doesn't take a lot. I typically will do maybe like 1 spray at the top and then 1 kind of on each side, maybe 1 in the crown. But it really helps kind of plump the hair up and add that volume without having any weight to it. Again, super concentrated, doesn't take a lot of that either. And this one here, if you have, I use it on most of my clients that I'm going to curl. In addition to the volumizer, it adds kind of a weightless finish, but it does have a little bit of hold to it. And then the Curls Define Her is also pretty amazing. I say that about all of our products because they are. The Curls Define Her, what that's going to do is it's for a couple different things. One, it's for naturally curly hair. To help define the curl, but it's going to have a weightless definition. So it's not going to feel crunchy. It's going to just have a real soft definition to the curl if you use this. And again, I typically would use like the leave-in cream and serum before, and then this would be the finishing. I also a lot of times use this if I know that I'm going to curl or do a formal style on someone from wet to dry. I'll use this because it does add a little more definition to the curl when you're going to use the curling iron or anything on their hair. This adds a little definition and a little bit of hold, but not necessarily as much as the form her does. Then we have any questions about any of those products before I touch on a few last products here? Anybody? No? All right. Well, I will move on here. These are more like what you're going to use for your finishing steps of style. The dry oil shine spray, if you've not tried it, smells ridiculous. It is so nice. Again, it's a dry oil, so it's kind of like using like the serum in a can. It's not going to add any weight to the hair. It's super, super lightweight, but it adds a really, really nice shine. Hence the dry oil. It's not going to make your hair look or feel oily. It's just going to add a really, really nice lightweight shine to it. It's great as a refresher. If you're one of those people that doesn't shampoo daily and you just kind of feel like your hair needs freshened up a little bit, it kind of acts as a natural deodorizer for the hair also. And then if you're ever looking for that perfect dry shampoo, of course, GK has made it. The biggest difference with this and other dry shampoos, I find, you can use it on blondes, you can use it on dark hair. It's not going to leave like that residual kind of powdery, chalky finish. It's a refined rice powder, so it's super lightweight. It actually does absorb a lot of the oil. I'll use this in my hair a lot of times before bed. Instead of in the morning, like I'll spray it kind of at my roots at bedtime, and it really helps kind of keep that moisture and oil that you're going to produce while you're sleeping. Because I do only shampoo my hair about every 3 or 4 days. But with this, it doesn't feel like you have buildup at the scalp or that you have product up there, which I know a lot of dry shampoos can kind of make my scalp a little bit itchy, and this does not do that. Number one trick is you just have to shake it really, really well because it is a refined rice powder. So it's a very, very fine product, but it doesn't create that cloudy finish at the roots, like if you do have a darker root, which is pretty great. And then we do have 2 different hairsprays. Apparently my light hold is sitting somewhere else. We have the strong hold and we have the light hold. The light hold is going to be for those clients who have that really fine hair, or they really just want a little bit of a hairspray to finish, but they don't want to feel any product on their hair. The light hold is great for that. I use it, when I'm curling or doing a finished style for the styling process, and then I'll go in with the strong hold after to do the finish. And even with this, that's one thing most clients love about it, is it doesn't feel like crunchy. It doesn't feel like you have a helmet on your head. Although this is our strong hold, it's still very lightweight and it's a pliable finish. So you're going to get that hold for your style, but you're not going to feel like crunchy or anything to that effect. I personally am not a big hairspray user on myself, but I do use these when it comes to finishing my style because I can't really feel it on my hair. I don't like to feel product, which that's one of my favorite things about the line, and why I started using it from the beginning is I was having a lot of reactions from shampoos, conditioners, a lot of different styling products. Which being a hairstylist kind of is not good if you're going to want to continue doing hair. And then I came across the GK line, fell in love with it. I had no reaction to anything. The whole line is sulfate free, paraben free, phosphorus free. Most of the products are gluten free. There are a couple that have refined wheat germ in them, but very low level. So it's good for those clients if they do have gluten intolerance or any other kind of allergies. I personally do have a lot of allergies. I can't use a lot of lotions, and I have not used another hair product in 5 years since I started using GK. So, I personally can attest to that myself, as with most of my clients also. Any questions about the stylers that we've discussed thus far? And I will touch on also, we do have, I'll grab them over here. I'll be right back. Sorry. And as far as our just generalized shampoos and conditioners that we have within the line, I'll start out here with the balancing. The balancing shampoo conditioner. It is super hydrating and moisturizing, but it is a little bit of a lighter weight type product. So if you have those clients that have really, really fine flyaway hair that gets really oily by the end of the day, this is going to be kind of their go-to shampoo and conditioner. I have teenagers. We have a 20-year-old, 19-year-old, 14-year-old, and a 7-year-old. So having all of those girls in our household, I can tell you their hair likes to do wacky things. And with them in our shower, I have all of them using the balancing shampoo. It really does help balance their scalps and helps with the oil production a little bit more there. We're real close to getting her out from under there. So I'm going to touch
Lindsay.
something. Yes.
Okay, one of the attendees has a question. Melina, you can go ahead and ask.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Hi, Lindsay.
Hello.
I raised my hand because you talked about allergies.
Yes.
I have a 10-year-old and she has thick, curly, super thick, curly hair. And I have thick, curly hair too. So we both suffer, I don't like to use the word suffer, but allergies is something that, you know, we can relate to. We have very sensitive skin. And my daughter, she, you know, does use a nebulizer. So anytime the seasons change, her asthma, it starts, you know, flaring up, and her skin will break out.
Yes.
My concern is with using a product, and this product is a great product on myself and my daughter. Would any potential breakouts for the skin, like the scalp itself, be an issue? And I can explain to you why I'm asking that. Because when I first used the product, it was great. We relocated and there were some people who were, I don't know if they were certified, I don't know if they knew how to use the product, but it ended up breaking my hair out and causing a lot of irritation. But the first time I used it, because we moved from San Diego to Northern California. So the first woman did it. I'm still great friends with her. She, excellent job, you know, so I know this product is real. It's just, I'm kind of sketchy because I lost all my hair, but I really do want the treatment for myself and my daughter.
You know, I have to say I'm not a doctor, so I can't make those claims about any of that. It's more just a personal, like I know for myself that it works. So I think it's one of those, like, I hate to say, like, you kind of have to try it to see. I'm not a doctor, so I don't know, but I imagine if the first time you did it, you didn't have an issue, but then you know, following up after you did, I would just kind of be, you know, concerned or questioning maybe what was done differently. Are you talking about the smoothing in general or the product?
I believe it was the stylist. I don't believe it was the product because we got it done in 2 different regions of California. The second stylist said that the person who certified them kind of had like somewhat of an attitude, and there were rumors about people buying the product and bootlegging it, like stretching it out, or I don't know. I do know a year or 2 later after, because it took like 5 years for my hair to grow back, I went back to see the original stylist, and she was very upset because it took a while for my hair. You know, we put a lot of work in, and she was like, I don't understand what happened. You know, and it definitely wasn't the product, not the product.
Yeah.
I think something else happened down the lines with the second stylist.
Yeah, you know, like as with anything in the hair world, you know, education is important. That's one thing that I praise GK on, is especially, you know, even with the quarantines and the shutdowns and everything going on right now, they're still doing the online classes. They're trying to educate. You know, education's the key. I would be willing to bet it was something that stylist individually did, that they maybe, you know, just didn't have the education background that they should.
Okay.
So just make sure, you know, if you're doing the service or going to someone that they do have the certifications behind it, you know, because
Right.
any kind of smoothing product, it's not something you just want to mess with, as you know.
Absolutely.
Ms. Webb, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
I have a question. Young lady that just asked that question, is she a licensed stylist?
I am not a licensed stylist. I am not a licensed stylist, but I would like to get the product for me and my daughter. Like I said, it would traumatize me if my hair fell out and my daughter's hair fell out. We just want to find someone who knows what they're doing.
Okay, yeah, that's why I asked the question, because naturally, like Ms. Webb said, that you got to check with your doctor first, because none of us are certified doctors. But then also, as she mentioned about the education, you know, it is a professional product. And so as a person goes through the steps, most people in some cases, especially like yours, they want to do a strand test just to check it out first to see if you have any reactions. And then
Okay.
from there you'll be safe. But it is a professional product.
Absolutely. Oh, no, understand. I'm not here to slander or bash anything. I am fully in support of your product. In fact, I would love to have some open recommendations. I'm not here. I think your product is great. I have to tell you, you know, it made it special.
So I will just interject on that just for what I'm doing here. Basically, with the shampoo, after the Bombshell, you want to use the silver shampoo. But I did rinse her hair until it was clear. So until the water looked clear, you didn't see a cloudiness or anything to it. And then I shampooed with the silver shampoo right following that.
Okay,
and with me, I tend to try and be safe, better to be safe than sorry. So I typically do 2 shampoos with the silver just to make sure you've thoroughly gotten the product off of the scalp and out of, the interior of the hair. Because this is not a product that you want to leave in the hair at all whatsoever. You want to make sure you get it out completely. And this product is pretty gentle. So I do like to make sure I get into the scalp and really make sure I get all of the product that may have kind of creeped its way up during processing. Make sure you're getting everything out of the hair.
It's okay to use any of the shampoos?
You can, but we definitely recommend using the silver shampoo directly, after the service, not necessarily. And you can send the customer, have them purchase the silver shampoo for retail. But behind, the bowl here, I'm always going to use the silver following the Miami Bombshell treatment itself. And that just kind of helps, keep that violet-y tone going there.
What if she didn't need any assistance in canceling of the yellow tones?
Then you would want to definitely look at the options of some of the other smoothing systems, like the Best, which is basically the same process, just doesn't have the violet base to it. So like with the Bombshell and the Best, you're gonna have your 0 turnaround, so you don't have to sit and sit up. Oh no, I can't reach it. There we go. So then from here, like I said, I personally like to do a couple shampoos, make sure the product is completely removed. But before I do that, I do always rinse until it's clear. You want to make sure that you've rinsed most of the product out before you shampoo. And then we're going to go in with her, and we are going to do the Ultra Blonde mask directly after. All right, I have to grab a brush here. And this is just, I mean, I try and do a fairly quick application of it. But because it is pigmented, you know, you're gonna get those neutralizing results from this also. And this is, again, a product, the mask that can be used standalone on a customer. You don't necessarily have to do it with the smoothing. Most of the time, if I have blondes that like to be that more neutral blonde, and they also want to do a deep conditioning treatment after, this is the one, the ultra blonde is the one that I would use. Smells good. She just said it smells good. I think everything smells good.
This one you have to apply. I couldn't do this at home.
No, these are, that's what she asked. She asked if this is something she could put on her hair at home. You know, I do have those random clients that I will allow them to purchase the deep conditioning mask. But the Bombshell mask is not something that I personally would ever retail. It's definitely more of a in-salon treatment. Again, as a stylist, it's up to you on how you want to run your business, but there are, you know, a few things that I like to just keep for myself. I do have several, they're smaller, they're the foil packs of the deep conditioner that if I have a client that does want to have something for at-home treatment, that's typically what I sell to them, is the little foil packs. And depending on, you know, their hair thickness, consistency, they can usually get 2 to 3 treatments out of that. But I don't necessarily always trust all customers to do it, you know, accordingly.
So you said this is a mask. Is this a necessary step for the smoothing system, or this is just
after the smoothing? Yes, after the Miami Bombshell smoothing, you do want to do one of the deep conditioner masks. Once we get it in her hair, I'll put a bag on her again, stick in her heat for about 5 minutes, come back over, rinse it really well, and then we'll go into the blow dry style portion. Yes, before the Bombshell mask came out, it was recommended to do the deep conditioner mask. So you can use either, like if you have one on hand versus another. But my preference for the, you know, with the Bombshell smoothing is definitely to use the Ultra Blonde mask after. But this is what's going to really help, you know, close that cuticle down after the treatment and just add a lot more moisture and hydration to it. And it is a little scary looking. I know it kind of looks like dark gray tar, but I promise on the hair it does not translate that way.
On a brunette, you would use the same one?
Yes, you know, anything that's gonna, because if someone has darker hair and you're wanting to neutralize the warmth, so that's why you'd be using the Bombshell smoothing. Anything you can do to just have added neutralization is going to, you know, benefit the service. I do have some clients that have darker hair and maybe they don't want a smoothing, they just want to, you know, neutralize it a little bit. Then the Ultra Blonde mask is definitely an option for you. And I am just kind of, working through her hair fairly quickly. I'm doing sectioning, but primarily for me with this step, it's just getting it on the hair. And I kind of start at the roots and then we'll work it down through the mids and ends and comb it through. She's trying to run away from me here. And I will tell you also, typically with my masks, I do take them out and put them in a color bowl. I don't typically directly dip into this mask, but this is my own personal one and this is my kiddo. So I figure we share germs anyway. But yeah, that is, I guess, something I should kind of touch on there is that with the masks, I do typically pull, some product out and put it into like a color bowl and use the application brush. Especially right now, you just have to be really careful with sanitation and following all those rules. So just, wanted to let everybody know that I do typically do that, pull it out and put it into a bowl.
Great, Lindsay. I have a quick question for you.
Yes.
The question is, how soon after doing any of your smoothing treatments can you go in and lightening?
After any smoothing treatment, I don't want to say any smoothing treatment, after the Bombshell and the Best, you always want to wait 14 days before or after. Except with the lightning, with the Bombshell, like that's kind of the point of it is two-tone. But if you're doing a direct deposit color, you want to wait 14 days, or formulate half a level darker. But as far as after doing a smoothing, I would wait at least, 14, like that 2-week mark to, go in and re-highlight. That just gives the hair, time to settle and make sure that that smoothing is, doing what it's supposed to do. Because you don't want to put lightener in it directly after your service and pull out any of the good stuff that you just put in there. Any other questions here? We're rolling right through. I'm real close to getting it all in her hair. And that is important because this conditioner does have the pigment in it to make sure that you're really saturating the hair. And I'll touch on a little bit too here. Well, I've almost got our conditioner in. One thing, which, you know, I'll mention it as I'm going and I'll say it several times. One thing to be really cognizant of is when you're blow drying and flat ironing. With the Miami Bombshell and with the Best, when you're blow drying, you want to use tension, of course, and then high heat, high flow as far as blow drying to really help close that cuticle down. With this system versus other systems, it's really like the mechanics of working it is what's going to close that cuticle down and the heat and make everything nice and shiny and smooth, versus the other systems, whether it's the resistant, strawberry resistant, curly, is with those, you never want to go more than medium heat, medium flow. They work based on a chemical reaction where this works more on a mechanical reaction. So you want a higher heat, higher flow, really work to close that cuticle. Whereas, like I said, with the other ones, where the product stays on the hair, if you're familiar with those at all, you definitely want a medium heat, medium flow. You don't want the hair to get too hot, and you don't want to burn the product off, because with those, the product does stay on. Whereas with this one, we've already rinsed the product out, so. We're almost done with this last section here.
Is it a separate certificate that you need to do the Best smoothing system?
Technically, yes, but the process is pretty much the same. But where it differentiates is in the timing and that kind of stuff. Like, so I definitely, if you're interested also in the Best, I would definitely look for one of the online classes, or, you know, as things start to open up, hopefully here one of these days, look for some hands-on classes in your area. I think the online is a great way. It's a great introduction. You can really see how the system works and how to apply it. But anytime you can get your hands on, I would. I mean, I probably took 3 different classes on the resistant. Not before I started doing it, but anytime one was offered, I just kept taking it, because it's, you know, good to have that knowledge and that background. The same with the Best. I think I took the Best class twice in general, well before I ever became an educator, before I ever started, you know, working with the line more so than just behind the chair myself. But I'm kind of a dork and I like to learn things. So I feel like different educators can teach you different things. So it's always good to take multiple classes on any system, even if you're already using it. You know, there's things that I've mentioned before with certain classes that other people are like, well, I've never heard that before, but then they're going to say the same thing from a different educator. So I think it's always great to take all the classes you can. If you're interested in the best, take a class on the best. Because like I said, it is basically application is very, very similar, but the timing is different and the finish, like how you finish after, is different. Now I know this looks dark, but it's not going to darken her color at all. It's going to really just help tone and lock in those nice neutral ashy tones, and also help rehydrate it after doing the system.
Also, we do have a class every Monday, and it's live on Zoom and Facebook. So you can visit our GKHair Facebook page, and all the links, all the classes which are coming up, they're available over there.
Yes, like I said, and like he reiterated there, we do have lots of classes going on, and that's amazing. I mean, I like to learn things. I'm an educator. I'm certified to teach the classes, but I still randomly will hop on other people's just to kind of see what they're talking about. And, you know, sometimes people have new and different information, and it never hurts to learn more.
Also, if you're unable to join the classes, we do have an education portal on GKHair website. I will be sharing the links with you in the chat, and you can always visit it. It has all the videos of our products with the step-by-step application, and each video is followed by a series of questions. So if you answer them correctly, you will be getting a GKHair certification as well.
I do have her sitting over there, like I said, under the heat for about 5 minutes. And then I'll bring her back over and we will rinse. Sorry, I'm touching the screen here. Sorry, I was just looking back through the chat there. Does anybody have any other questions while we're hanging out here?
Which one do I get? For what? The spray.
50? 50?
It's
Sorry, my daughter's talking to me.
15.
Oh.
Did you say it was only 11 or something?
My kid's over here whispering to me about products she's gonna buy because I'm not super mean mom. I make them buy their own product. I have to pay for it. So what happens when you're an adult, right?
Mm-hmm.
Should ask for it for Christmas. Maybe that would. Maybe you get it then. She has about 2 more minutes under the heat, and then we'll bring her back over. And the way I have the camera pointed, it's a little bit hard to tell, but when I go to shampoo her, I will, I won't shampoo her. When we go to rinse her with the leave-in mask, I do always follow just by using the regular conditioner, either the UV or the moisturizing. I have both back here. And what that helps does is just break up any of the residual pigment that might be left on the scalp. It's not really for conditioning, it's just to help work the mask out, because as it does sit under the heat, doesn't dry out, but it really kind of grabs onto the hair. So that just kind of helps work any of that residual pigment out of the hair for sure. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and grab her, bring her back over.
How long did you leave that mask on for?
5 minutes.
Okay.
And you know, obviously you have the option of if you want to put them under heat or not. I always do, just because anytime you put it under the heat, it, you know, just helps work into that cuticle a little bit better. And again, I rinsed it really well until the water looked like it was pretty much clear. And then I'll go in with just the regular conditioner and kind of work it through to make sure there's no like pigment left on the scalp or anything like that. I know it's kind of hard to tell, but it already looks like a lot less warm, a lot more neutral, which is really what we were going for. I think by summer she wants to transition into kind of a whiter blonde, but this is kind of a good interim step for her. Like I said earlier, her hair pulls very, very warm. So doing this whole process really helps keep her color nice and neutral, especially as we do lighten it more going into summer, and it's going to be nice and healthy. And I do typically section it out just so I have more control over it during the blow dry. Blow drying with tension, definitely something I do, but it's not necessarily as important, but you definitely want to get it nice and straight and smooth during this blow dry process. So I do section her out a little bit. You can do the 4 quadrants. I typically like to do the back as a whole when it comes to blow drying. A little less gets in the way personally. And I wouldn't necessarily always take this big of a section when starting to blow dry, but her hair is very, very fine under here, so I can still get, you know, the needed tension on it while blow drying. And I do typically start out just at the beginning with the vent brush just to get the heavy moisture out, and then I'll switch over to one of our round brushes. This one here is 1 1/4. It does have the regular bristles, but then a synthetic boar bristle set inside of that. And what that does is really help get some nice tension on the hair and close that cuticle down during the blow dry. This over just a little bit, try to get it a little better angle for you guys maybe. And that is also one really awesome thing about GK with all of their tools. Everything is basically preset for what you need. With the Bombshell and the Best, again, high heat, high flow. So I will go all the way up on the heat and all the way up on the flow. If you're doing one of the other smoothing systems, it's medium heat, medium flow. So they're already preset to the right temperature and airflow that you'll need for the system. Any section as you go through, you want to make sure you get it really dry, like real dry. You don't want to have any moisture left in there whatsoever. And following this smoothing, I don't ever use any kind of styling product. You really want it to be that nice, clean, blank slate. Throwing stuff around. And as it's drying, you know, it's definitely a nice, more neutral light blonde. Again, this is kind of a transitional color for her, so.
So smooth. So it feels so smooth.
It is. It's gonna be so smooth. She said it feels so smooth. That's what. And I did mention that we, you know, pre-lightened her and I did put a toner on her. So if anybody's interested in that formulation, I can shoot that to you also. As far as what toner I use. What? I'm gonna put the mask. And as I go through each section, I do typically kind of give it a second, let it cool down. And that's kind of the easiest way you can make sure it's dry completely. But as of now, I mean, it's looking really nice and pretty, nice and neutral blonde. A little bit of a weird reflection going on here because of my window. But we will get this side dry and then we will flat iron. All right, so that blow drying step is finished now. Now we're gonna move on to flat ironing. The one that I'm using, it has a 1.7-inch blade, polished titanium. Don't mind mine, it's a little dirty. One thing that I find that's important is if you're doing any kind of smoothing, you want separate tools for smoothing and styling in the salon, because this is the glycolic based smoothing. I actually use the same one that I do use in the salon, but if I'm going to be using the resistant, strawberry resistant, or curly, I do have separate flat irons just for those smoothing systems. Just kind of clipping the front section out of the way, and we'll kind of deal with the back first. If you're familiar with any kind of smoothing system, really the flat iron is one of the most important steps. It's what's really going to close down the cuticle, lock in the treatment, make sure everything's sealed in. So whenever it comes to the Bombshell, like, it's definitely important that you do a nice clean blow dry, medium tension, and then flat iron after. A lot of smoothing treatments, they say, you know, like multiple passes for sure. With this, usually I can get away with 3 to 5 passes per section, and I do about a 1/2 inch section and make sure I'm hitting every single hair. But kind of a generalized rule for this smoothing is when the shine pop stops. So once you see shine, you can feel it in the hair. You can definitely feel a difference in the texture. That's when you stop flat ironing. You don't need to continue smoothing after that step. Again, I'm doing about 1/2 inch sections, just making sure that I'm hitting all of the hairs. Again, her hair is a little bit finer under here.
What temperature are you at?
I'm at 356. That's what the this one turns on to. I would rather start with a lower temp and work my way up. You don't want to like fry the hair. You don't want to burn the protein out of it that you just put into it. Even with the other ones, I still typically start in the 350 to 360 range with all smoothing, and then work my way up if needs be. A lot of times, like ethnic hair, coarser hair, it's going to need a little bit of a higher temp, maybe 375, but I typically never go over 375. I'd rather take more passes, but her hair is pretty baby fine, so. And really with hers, you can see that shine hit within, you know, for sure within the 3, if not within 2 passes. And I do tend to pass over like the roots to mids a little bit more. That part of the hair can tolerate a little bit more heat. And if you're going to tend to have more wave residual, it's going to be coming from up higher versus at the ends. But it, you know, a lot of times once you get used to the systems and doing them, it's not necessarily like I'm going to sit here and count 1, 2, 3. It's more so I can just feel the hair. I can see the shine. I can just tell as I move the flat iron over the hair that that's, you know, it's done. Like I've sealed everything down nice. But in the beginning of doing them, you know, having that kind of count in my head was important to know that I was not over processing heat wise.
When the clients use hot tools on their head after the treatment, is it okay for them to use a higher temperature than the 360 or 375?
I mean, they can if that's what their hair requires, but I have very few customers in my, you know, whole genre of clientele that hardly ever goes over that temperature. So, I mean, it's everybody knows their own hair. They know what it requires. But I don't think I have one client, you know, in my regular salon base that would ever go over 375. And majority of my clientele do, you know, that flat iron, they do use one of the GK flat irons. So that's, you know, important with education with your client. And again, the GK flat irons are specifically designed to use with the system also. So if you're not using them behind the chair now, especially if you're going to be doing smoothing, I would for sure try and invest in one of them. Like I said, it's a polished titanium blade, super smooth, really helps prevent damage, and it just kind of glides through the hair nice. So you're not going to get any catching. I'm sure everybody on here knows, if you don't, you should never ever use ceramic with any kind of smoothing. The protein actually will attach to the ceramic blade. That's one reason I always use separate flat irons, is because although it doesn't attach, you can get some buildup of the proteins on the blade of the flat iron. It's just a lot less likely with a titanium plate versus ceramic. But I've never actually, like, I have to clean the sides of my flat iron sometimes, just product gets on there, but I've never actually had to clean the plate itself of a GK flat iron before. And I've been using them pretty much strictly for 5 to 6 years. Don't know if you can see, look down a little bit. That shine there. Move on to the side here. Don't move. I'm not gonna get you. She's a scaredy cat. She has these little waves right by her ears that I wanna. She's trying to run from me so hard right now. I can feel it, but it's not gonna happen. She gets these like little, like 1-inch curly cues right by her ear. So I was just trying to hit those for her. She didn't love it. And one other really great thing about the flat irons also is there is a little bit of a relief next to the plate so that you can get like directly up to the scalp without burning the customer, which is nice to be able to smooth right at the scalp there. And typically, you know, if this was a regular day, not a class where I've been, you know, talking, I typically would usually be able to complete a service on her hair texture, thickness, all that within about 2 hours. But obviously with the classes, I talk a little more and maybe I'm not working at optimal speed, but yeah, typically at about 2, maybe 2.5 if I'm running a little slower that day. But again, that time, you never want to like push your time on purpose, but that time's money. So if it is someone that takes 3 hours, don't be concerned about that. That's just how their hair is. I mean, her day in total, because we did color first, it'd be about a 5-hour service because we did color her first. Which of course, you know, depending on your region, you can charge accordingly for that. I'll make sure you can see there. She looks very excited, I know. She does not like the flat iron by her ears. I have yet to burn her, so I don't know why. really looking at the time, it's taken about, in total, will probably take a little less than 20 minutes to do the full flat iron. It's really, you know, fairly quick, this step here. Kind of getting to the final steps here. Does anybody else have any questions or concerns about anything within, you know, the smoothing system or product lines or anything? Anything? Now's your chance. No? Can you put your head up, please? Let me get up. Thank you. How's our own kids sometimes the worst customers? And typically once you get used to doing the system, you can really just tell by looking at it, by touching it, if it's, you know, if you've had enough passes, you can really tell the cuticles close down. Like I said, I kind of have that mantra, like when the shine pops, stop. That means once you see that shine, don't continue going over it. Just stop there with that. I'm going to hit just the front part of her little bang area here. She does have that little bit of cowlick. And she's getting a little warm in here. Alrighty, so basically we're done with the smoothing now. You can, like right now, she's got just a few of these little baby flyaways. You don't necessarily need to put any product on when all is said and done. You can hit it a little bit with just a little bit of, grab the one that was out there, sorry. With a little bit of spray just to calm down those little guys if you want to. But again, as far as styling goes, her hair is ready to go. She doesn't have to wait any period of time now between, you know, washing it herself, working out. You know, I definitely don't recommend going straight into like a chlorinated pool right away by any means, but you can see the finished results here. It's a nice, pretty neutral blonde.
Great results, Lindsay. Amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it turned out really nice, really helped kind of neutralize her more.
Right.
And I can take, if anybody wants to see it in natural, I mean, this is mostly natural light in the salon, but I can take her outside also.
That will be great.
Okay. Let's see here. Let me get this. Sorry, you're going to see my face up close and personal. Walk outside. Stand off to the left there. Jenna, right here. Right here. Jenna, right here. So that is what it looks like. You can tip your head up a little bit for me. In the natural sun. So you can tell, you know, we really were going for more of a beigey blonde on her, but it's nice and neutral, not too much added warmth. So any other questions here?
Hi, Beans.
Sorry, we live on actually a farm here, so our kittens are attacking us. You want to put her down? So that really is pretty much it when it comes to the Bombshell, line and smoothing. I don't know if there's any other information anybody needs about it. She said it feels weird to be blonde. Do you want to look at it so I can see the front there too? So I guess if there's no more questions or anything, I can let everybody get back to their day. Like I said earlier, I do have some before pictures of her, and then I'll take some after ones also. If you want to go to my Instagram, I'll post them there and I can send them on also. But my Instagram, it's _sunroom studio. If you want to go in there and see the before and after and kind of the process to it all, document it that way so everybody can see it there. So
I have a question.
Yes.
You mentioned that you did put toner there before. Can you send that?
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, you cut out a little bit. I'm sorry. I did do a toner. Were you just?
Yes, I was just inquiring about that. If possible, if you can send me the information.
Yeah, I can write it down and I can post it on the Instagram also, or I can tell you right now. If you have something to write with, it's a pretty easy formula.
Give me 1 second.
Okay. So yeah, as are you there? Sorry.
Yeah.
So all of our color line, we have 87 colors within the GK color line. They can all be used for semi-permanent to permanent coloring. So they can be used as toners. They can be used as full deposit, excellent gray coverage. On the toner I did on her today, because I didn't want to pull her super duper like white blonde. That's something we're definitely working towards. I did lighten her about between a level 9, 10, still had a lot of warmth to it. On her root area I'll have her step up here for a second. From her, let's see here. From the root area to about 2 inches down, my formulation was, sorry, she said ow to me. I did 10 grams of 10.12. I did 10 grams of 7.11 and 5 grams of our chocolate series, which is 9.99. And I did mix those, all of our color line, that's 1 to 1.5. So I did that formulation with 1.5 of our 8 volume. I did about the first 2 to 3 inches of her roots with that. Then I mixed up a secondary formula, which was just the 10.12 and the 9.99 equal parts, also with the 8 volume. And what that does is sometimes, like, we really want to be a nice beigey blonde. Sometimes with toners, people tend to go a little to the ash side, which is totally fine. But sometimes you don't necessarily want so much ash in your formulation. And sometimes adding that little bit of warmth just brings it to that real pretty kind of creamy beige, but still kind of neutral. Any other questions? She must like it because she just keeps looking in the mirror. Slide that over for her. She can actually see herself.
Great, Angie. I think no one has any other question.
Okay.
Great class, and hope you have a great day ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm glad you guys joined.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great class.
Thanks. Have a good day.
You too.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.